All right, A to Z Sports, welcome in our Titan Game Day Live, the post-game show. The Titans get their sixth loss of the season by only scoring 6 points, 3-6 on the year, and Tampa Bay victorious, snapping its four-game losing streak with a final score of 20-6. It's the third road game of the season where the Titans have not scored a touchdown. It is a dreadful performance in the Sunshine State, and the Titans look awful again. We'll discuss a lot of things and a lot of opinions, a lot of takes. We'll see how the emotions are from everybody here streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm Austin Stanley alongside Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter at A to Z Sports.com. This is Titan Game Day Live, the post-game show presented by our friends at the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Lots to discuss here, Sam. So before we do it, tell the people what they got to do here on this Sunday afternoon.
Well, hey, you guys got to do two things. Number one is like the show. Now, you don't have to like the result of the game to like the show, because I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, Austin and I did not like what happened in the game, and so we're going to have some good coverage of.
But I did like the show.
Yeah, well, and hopefully we're going to express what a lot of the chat is feeling right now in our dialogue here, so you can like the show without liking the game. Number two is share the show. Because we have to grow this conversation, get more people involved here. There are a lot of things on my mind that I have to talk about, a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and a lot of things that need to be said on the show. So let's make sure everybody's tuned in for it by sharing the show on Facebook, sharing the YouTube link, whether that's to a group chat or a text message, whatever it is, however you're watching it, share it, join the conversation, and get more people involved. That's the best way to support.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Live, the post-game show presented by our friends at the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Do want to thank all of our great friends and partners this season making Titan Game Day Live happen. X Golf Nashville, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. The Mint Gaming Hall, just 35 minutes north of Nashville, themintgaming.com. Bet MGM, the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, wherever justice demands. Chim Chimney for all your chimney needs. Adventure Science Center, explore and discover at adventuresci.org. And Jarrett Fire, keeping your facility comfortable and secure, one inspection at a time at jarrettcompanies.com. So, Sam, it was as bad as it could get, right? Look, the first quarter looked promising. The first drive for the Tennessee Titans looked promising. Will Levis and the Titans getting down into a goal-to-go situation before stalling out and getting 3 points. Then it was a long, long time before they could match that production and get another field goal from Nick Folk. But nothing, no answers for anything. Will Levis under pressure all day long, sacked several times, hit a bunch. And the Titans could not stop Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, or Rachaad White. And the Bucs get a 20-6 win over Tampa Bay. And I think just about anything and everything is on the table to be said today about what this Titans organization is and what they're doing. That is 4 losses in 5 performances outside of Will Levis's rookie debut against the Falcons. The Titans are 3-6 and looking about as bad as they have all season long. So, Sam, I'll let you kind of give your opening thoughts and expectations out here too.
I like what you said there, that everything is on the table. And I might not agree with everything that is said today by you or said by the chat. And I've got my own opinions on stuff, so I might not agree with you. But I think we have hit the point that I can no longer blame Titans fans for whatever it is they want to say, whether it's about the players, whether it's about the front office, whether it's about the head coach. This is bad enough that I think everybody's entitled to their opinion. And so, yeah, for starters, everything's on the table. And I think the biggest concern with this game to me is this was another example, Austin. The Titans just got their ass kicked in every single way. This was not, I thought early on, this was going to be everything was kind of good, but the offensive line. The Titans didn't play defense well. They didn't protect well. The quarterback didn't play particularly well. The wide receivers didn't play well. The coaching was atrocious consistently throughout the game. This was bad across the board. Newsflash, the 2023 Titans suck. They're a bad football team. They're the worst team in the AFC South by a lot. They are substantially worse than the Houston Texans. They're substantially worse than, yes, the Indianapolis Colts, and they're even further behind the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I do think it's time to start looking at this schedule, which has 2 games against the Jags, 2 games against the Texans, a game against the Colts, the Seattle Seahawks, the Miami Dolphins in primetime. You might be looking at a 13-loss Titans team. That seems ridiculous.
So you think beating the Panthers is about it, right?
I mean, probably not. They'll probably luck their way into a couple, but my goodness, this team is bad. And I have a hard time like looking at any of their upcoming games and being like, oh, I think you're better than that team. You could beat that team. The current state of this team is certainly a bottom 5 team in the league. I'm not going to say they're the worst team in the NFL. Like a lot of fans are jumping to that conclusion, but
I think the only team I see the Tennessee Titans beating in the American Football Conference is the New England Patriots.
I mean, they are the Titans are probably better than New England. They are probably better than Chicago and Carolina and maybe
Arizona.
the Raiders and Arizona. But they are pushing that bottom 5. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it just depends on who's going to get the bottom 5 teams to get the top 5 draft picks. And look, you guys can laugh at me all you want because I see Anthony coming back saying Austin thought they'd score 30 points. I did. I think that's just the biggest indictment that you can look at with this football team is that this is the same Tampa defense that gave up 470 yards and 5 touchdown passes to CJ Stroud last week. And the Tennessee Titans got what?
Yeah.
Got nothing? I mean, they could not score. I mean, Will Levis was 19 of 39 for 199, 1 pick, no touchdowns, sacked 4 times, lost 32 yards. The Titans only ran for 42 yards on the day. I mean, this is the same Bucs defense that couldn't stop anything from CJ Stroud last week, including when the game was on the line, and the Titans couldn't even get a garbage touchdown. Like, they're not good enough to get a touchdown against when the defense has no need to truly stop and put the clamps on you. Like, that's how bad they are right now.
Austin, I owe Titans fans an apology because they are coming to you and saying, Austin thought they were going to score 30 points. Ha, ha, ha. What an idiot. I'm the idiot here because I have been telling Titans fans for weeks now that things were going to be okay, that there was a world that they would get back to 6-6, that it was conceivable that they could win 3 of their next 4. And I was looking at wins over Pittsburgh and wins over Tampa and potentially where the Titans could be because of how weak their schedule is. I have been an optimist to a fault with this team. I have been made a fool by this roster and this coaching staff. And so I'm sorry, Titans fans, for leading you astray and leading you to believe that this team was anything other than a bottom 5 organization in the National Football League. They are not good. I told you when I said all of this stuff that if I was proven wrong, I would come tail between my legs acknowledging it. And here we are, because I was dead wrong across the board about this defensive line, about many members of this coaching staff, about the talent of this roster in general. And I've got some concerning numbers that we'll get into a little bit later in the show, Austin.
Yeah.
But I just got to get that out the way. If you're looking for somebody to point to and say, what a fool, look at this guy, because I was one of the only people who tried to hold out hope for this team. Hope is gone.
Yeah, I would agree. Hope is gone. And like we both said at the beginning of this show, everything is on the table. I will honestly not say that I can disagree with opinions being shared. I might disagree with opinions, just like you said, but I think everything's fair to criticize at this point. So Sam, let's go ahead and do this. We do this for every post-game show. We ask you guys one word. What is one word to describe the Titans' loss today to Tampa? What is one word to describe the Titans' loss today to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 20-6, the final score, the Titans' 3rd road game, not scoring a single touchdown so far this season. So what's one word to describe The Titans lost today to Tampa 20-6. But first, I want to tell all you guys about our great friends at Amanda J. Gentry, the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, Amanda J. Gentry and her team practice in Tennessee family and criminal courts across 35 counties in Middle Tennessee as a Middle Tennessee trial lawyer. And Amanda J. and her team, they specialize in father's rights, protecting your fundamental constitutional rights to be a father to your children. That's a passionate thing that Amanda J. and her team want to go out there, is protecting your constitutional rights and defending your right to be a father. Know your rights and protect your rights. The law offices of Amanda J. Gentry will go fight for you, whatever your situation may be, and with that same passion that she has. So check them out online, amandajgentry.com. So Sam, I'll send you to the chat. Over 200 comments since I have flipped over to the chat, since I started talking about Amanda J. and her team. So one word, I'll let you start teeing off here.
Lifeless, rebuild, epiphany, Trashville, fatal, embarrassing, abysmal, inept, reality, talentless, renovation. These are great words from the chat. I was pointing out some of my favorites as quickly as I could. As you mentioned, we've got a ton of them.
And like the show while you're in here too.
All
a
of
lot
them
of people
are very
watching,
negative,
hit that like button.
Yeah, a lot of people watching, need more likes on the show. We've got I liked the word fatal in there a lot. Coaching, we've got draft, we've got disappointing, disgusting, heartless, typical, burnout, all negative stuff across the board, Austin. And like we said, nothing's off the table. You can't blame anybody for having any of these words. And there's a lot of typical negative words that the chat could use here. But I do like some of this creativity.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. You guys are getting very good at coming up with words that continue to get worse because the Titans continue to get worse.
Yeah, it started as like trash, like one loss in, and we're 6 losses in of like developing like new
the thesaurus and the depth of vocabulary from the Titans fans that watch our show is getting really impressive because of it's the 6th loss, right? Their 5th road game, technically 6th away from Nissan Stadium. They've lost all of them. They've only scored touchdowns in 3 of them, including the London game, but it's really bad. So look, I have the word dreadful in the title of the show. Dreadful performance by all as Bucs cruise to a 20-6 win as the title of the postgame show. But my official one word to describe this loss and this Titans team right now is incompetence. They are incompetent. And I'm just going to read the definition just to break it down as much as we possibly can, because I feel like this Titans team needs to be broken down to an elementary level. Not having or showing the necessary skills to do something successfully. What did the Titans do successfully today? What did the Titans do successfully today? You can chew on that because I'll just tell you, not much. Even Ryan Stonehouse had a bad day. Nick Folk missed a field goal.
The punt returns were pretty good.
The punt returns weren't bad. Nick Folk, Ryan Stonehouse was not good today. So Jake says punt. So I don't even think Stonehouse is.
Field goal kicker missed his first kick.
Yep. I mean, Kyle Phillips was pretty good, but like, what did they do as a team today? What aspect of the game of football did they succeed in? Nothing. They were incompetent across the board. I mean, Mike Vrabel won a challenge, and I don't even know what a catch is. I mean, I thought Palmer caught that football. That's a catch in my book. But hey, Mike Vrabel won that challenge, so congratulations to give up a 46-yard catch to Mike Evans the very next play. So nothing. They succeeded in nothing. You lose. You get none. I'm going Willy Wonka in this. Good day, sir. Like, you get nothing. They suck. They're bad. They're incompetent. That is my one word, Sam. I'll let you go ahead for you.
Yeah, my word is soft. The Titans are so damn soft. Physically, emotionally, mentally, strategically, they are baby pudding. They are butter. They are soft. And their approach to football is soft. The fact, Austin, I cannot get over this enough. The fact that it was the most predictable thing in the world that you get a first down and goal. You're moving the ball well. Will Levis is doing all the right things to get you down the field. And then on first and goal, he throws a ball, not a bad throw, into some traffic, gets tipped, bobbled, whatever, almost intercepted. And you shrivel up and you die. You start clenching your butt cheeks and you say, hand off to Derrick Henry. We'll go third and goal from the 11 and then just throw one over the end zone and we'll kick our field goal. What? God forbid we take this 2-score game and don't keep it a 2-score game with another field goal, because God bless it, I love being down 11 with 7 minutes to go instead of 14. That makes me feel so much better about myself. It is so soft and so predictable. Like, I can't watch it anymore. It drives me insane that there's this like fear of turning the football over that you just choose not to go for touchdowns. It happens at the end of halves. It happens at the end of games. It happened in Pittsburgh when you took the ball out of your quarterback's hands and went HB draw on 3rd and 9 with the game on the line and 4 minutes to go. You do it today when you just say, no, we're good with our field goal. Like, you want to score some touchdowns, have a little bit of guts. I'm so sick and tired of the way that they approach day-to-day decision-making, and the fact that you have a quarterback, a young quarterback who has shown flashes of being very good. You put training wheels on him start to finish. It's dumbfounding at this point, and it's so soft. And I think that word applies to the entire offensive line. I think it applies to the people within the organization from the top down and how they handle criticism, how they handle losing, and how they handle adversity. And it transitions onto the field and how they play on the field and how they coach during games.
4th and 2 early in the game in your own territory, punt the football. Right? There's a lot of scared to make the detrimental decision or mistake to lose the game early instead of trying to win the game. They are coaching to not lose instead of coaching to win. It is coaching passively, not aggressively. They are scared to make bold decisions. And Sam, I thought that was a beautifully put rant. We have so many super chats and comments to get to about it. And I was going to try to not say this on this post-game show so I can say it tomorrow morning, but hell, I'm going to say it on both. I'm going to say it now and I'm going to say it tomorrow morning as well. If you're not going to be a tough, physical, disciplined football team, then what do you have Mike Vrabel for? Well, like, what do you have Mike Vrabel for as your head coach if you're going to be soft, weak, and not aggressive and undisciplined, where you're having penalties all over the field? You're lining up incorrectly. You can't do anything consistently. You gain 8 yards on 1st and 10 by Derrick Henry's longest run of the day, and then your left tackle has 2 false starts in a row. And Dylan Radins. Like, Derrick Henry had 11 carries today, Sam. 11 carries for 24 yards for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 5 carries of his 11 lose yards. This team is soft, weak, pathetic, all the words. It is so bad. So I'll repeat it. If you're not going to be a tough, physical, disciplined football team, then what is Mike Vrabel's quality for him to be the head coach? What are you putting on Mike Vrabel's name and saying that's why you believe he's the right guy for this football team? Like, what is there to say? Because they are incompetent, which means they're not succeeding in anywhere.
Austin, I was going to save this for later in the show too, and I do not think I'm so far gone as to kind of coming around to like, you need to fire Mike Vrabel. I do try and maintain some level of like level-headedness when it comes to that and how I view him overall. That's a bigger issue that I'll have to sleep on a little bit, and whatever. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later in the week and discuss things. But I think you really hit on something here. And I had this written down to discuss when we went over Mike Vrabel's winning recipe, his winning formula, the things that Mike Vrabel preaches, because the 2023 Titans have completely lost in every single way what it means to be a Mike Vrabel coached football team. What do we talk about when we talk about a Mike Vrabel led team? We talk about a team that's disciplined, that's aggressive, that's physical, that can come and beat you on the road, that wins the turnover battle, that runs the ball efficiently. All of these things, the Titans don't do it. They have only won, hear me out, they have only won the turnover battle one time this season. It is week 10. It is mid-November. They've won the turnover battle once, and they lost that game. It was in Cleveland when they got absolutely curb stomped in the game. Yeah. They do not play disciplined. They get penalized at the most inconvenient times. They haven't won a road game in over a calendar year. So they don't win on the road. They don't win the turnover battle. They've lost the rushing battle in 4 of their last 5 in both yards gained and yards per carry. We hear that they're physical.
Coach Williams.
and we keep looking at this defensive line getting run over, not getting pressure on quarterbacks. We keep watching an offensive line that gets manhandled and they don't win one-on-one matchups. So if you're not physical, you don't run the ball, you lose the turnover battle, you can't win on the road, you coach not aggressively, and you lack discipline, what are you? Because that's not a Mike Vrabel team.
I'm right there with you. All right, so let's go ahead, since we're kind of talking about it already, let's go ahead and discuss the winning formula that has turned into the losing formula for this Mike Vrabel football team. Because, Sam, you said it. Everything that makes a Mike Vrabel football team successful, they're losing at right now. But first, our friends at Adventure Science Center. Adventure Science Center is where you should go because it's great for all ages, not just the kids, but for you too. You can explore and discover with Adventure Science Center, adventuresci.org. Your full family adventure awaits. When it comes to the Infinium Room, all ages included in general admission, Body Quest for all ages, the Tinkering Garage, Adventure Gallery, and they also have upcoming a 21 plus event December 1st. That's a Friday night, December 1st. I went full of Willy Wonka earlier in the show with a quote. They're having a Wonka themed 21 up event on Friday night, December 1st. So check it out online for tickets right there, adventuresci.org, adventuresci.org for Adventure Science Center, our great friends here and partners on the Titan Postgame show presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. So the winning formula, right, it's have more rushing yards, win the turnover battle, and have the better quarterback rating. 0 for 3 across the board, not even close. Like the Bucs didn't even run for many yards at all, 77 yards to your 42. Baker Mayfield was fine. He wasn't spectacular by any means, but at 102 rating to Will Levis's 53. And the turnover battle, I guess, what was it, even? Because it was 1-1 overall because you got the easy pick early on Baker Mayfield that you did nothing with. So I think it's pretty brutal to watch this team and everything that the Titans had success with between 2019 and the first half of 2022 has disintegrated away, and they don't even know what they're doing. Like I found myself watching this third quarter defense, like Roger McCreary defended a route and took like 2 full 360 circles while he was defending a Chris Godwin route. I'm like, who's coaching that? Like, they're not coaching that, which makes me think, what is Roger McCreary doing? Because I know they're not coaching that because nobody coaches that. So it's like, I don't know what they're doing at times. And I don't think they know what they're doing at times. And there's a disconnect. And I said this when the team was in London at halftime, that I am questioning the ability for this coaching staff led by Mike Vrabel to get through to this roster. Like, it's not working. It's not working. They're pathetic. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult, it's a difficult issue to break down because it's like a double-edged sword, right? And it's like, well, is it Mike Vrabel not getting through to the roster or just the players on the roster? But then you also can't omit blame from Mike Vrabel for the roster because these are the roster decisions you made and the personnel that you went out and acquired. And so whether it's developing, scouting, drafting, you don't have the talent to execute the type of game plan and system that Mike Vrabel wants to run. And so it becomes this consistently spiraling problem where you're trying to have a team that acts and plays a certain way when you very clearly don't have the players to execute it. And it's hard to stay patient with finding that solution.
This is another game where I'm watching this Titans team saying the NFL is making rules to make offense easier, and the Titans aren't taking advantage of it. It's like, like, I know Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame receiver. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, how are they having guys like Trey Palmer make plays, guys like Cade Otton make plays, and the Titans got nothing? It's like there's little slivers of it, right? I thought that when the Titans had trips receivers to the left and they threw that quick ball to Tajay and they blocked it well. Like, there are some moments where I'm like, that was a really smart play. The fake double screen on the opening drive, the float toss pass to Josh Wiley over the center.
Great.
That was a really great play. But it's like 2 times out of the whole damn day where you go 32 consecutive offensive snaps without throwing the football to DeAndre Hopkins after throwing it to him on the first snap of the game and gaining 15 yards. Then you come back and you finally do it 32 plays later when you're down by 2 scores and you gain 8 on first down.
Well, and hey,
so what is going on? Like, why is this staff so incapable of making offense easier, just like Todd Bowles' staff?
Yeah, and
ask any Bucs fan if they think Todd Bowles is a good coach who just whacks the Titans 20-6.
Yeah, they don't. Newsflash: I've got friends that are Bucs fans, and they are very sick and tired of Todd Bowles. But the Titans make just about everybody look pretty good. Austin, to your point as well, of like what rules the NFL has put into place that most teams take advantage of that the Titans don't. That, by the way, creates offense for you. The only time I remember that they actually moved Will Levis out of the pocket, he scrambled for 1 yard, took a hit, got 15 yards on a penalty. Was it a bad call? Yeah. Was it a soft call? Absolutely. But that's how the NFL calls it nowadays. It's part of the benefit of getting your quarterback out of the pocket when you have an athletic young quarterback like Will Levis. And so that's another example of like, hello, this works for every team in the National Football League when you start to use your quarterback as a runner, and the Titans don't seem interested in playing that sort of game.
Yeah, and the Titans don't seem interested in playing the game. Like, they're just as easy as that. Like, they don't seem interested. There is zero fight and strain from the defensive line to get a penalty, a holding call called on the Tampa offense. All right, let's get to some super chats. A lot of people with some super chats here on our post-game show presented by our friends at the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, wherever justice demands. Joseph says every unit of this team is mediocre at best. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, you've got some above average things, but I'm not going to nitpick Joseph's fired up opinion here. Nathaniel says game plan for this game was terrible. Play action, very blitz heavy teams is idiotic. Zero time to pass over time for overhaul on coaching staff. I actually think the beginning of the game plan was fine.
It was great.
They just kept doing dumb things that haven't worked for 3 years, like toss plays to Derrick Henry. Their inability to do anything productive inside the 10-yard line baffles me.
And it's funny, I have to say it, right? Like, the offensive line does limit what you're able to do as a play caller, substantially. But there is a level of what you can and can't block as an offensive line. And as a play caller, you need to stop calling the things that you haven't been able to block in the past. Like these toss plays, when you're dealing with backup tackles and guards who are going up against a very good defensive front and a good linebacker core, or at least the linebacker core that's very good against the run, and you're running toss plays, and then you want to shrug your shoulders back, well, it wasn't blocked. It just didn't get blocked up appropriately. It's not blocked up because you don't have the personnel to block it, and you have to adapt. And they haven't done that all year. It was something Todd Downing frustrated me with a lot last year. Is he's like, well, that play might work if it was better, if it was blocked up. Okay, but your guys don't block it, so maybe try something different that makes their jobs and their lives easier.
Yeah, no doubt. Kick It to the King says, discharged from the hospital yesterday. This is what I see. Well, I hope everything's good. I'm glad you're no longer in the hospital there, Kick It to the King. But he says, Vrabel is 3-13 in his last 16. This game is all in coaching. Look forward to trading Mike Vrabel. Man.
Hey, man, look, again, point, if you're getting multiple first-round picks from New England, from Mike Vrabel, You
Yeah.
might just,
I mean,
yeah.
we're going to say this often over the next couple of, at least I am. I am not against hearing any opinion about anybody employed by the Tennessee Titans football operations staff moving forward.
One game away, by the way. Last year, the worst team in the NFL was the Chicago Bears, had the number 1 overall pick. They went 3-14. If you lose in Jacksonville next week, your last 17 games, a full season, you will be a 3-14 football team. So, yeah.
Katana says, put in Willis for the rest of the season, go full tank mode. Need a complete rebuild around Simmons, Spears, Levis, and Skoronski. I mean, they're not going to play Malik Willis to not play Will Levis if you want to rebuild around Will Levis. Tortuga says, sad. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Tortuga says, sad to say, but the Titans are terrible. Katana says, tank. Let's see. Kicking to the King comes back, says, watching the Titans just like watching paint dry. And then Seats says, Titans make football look so hard. O-line is a liability that's wrecking games. Bowen is 100% an issue. What do you think about the Shane Bowen part of this comment, Sam? Because, I know the chat is a lot on Shane Bowen, and we don't tend to discuss because it's really hard to tell like what a coordinator on defense is or isn't doing when compared to like an offensive coordinator. But what do you think about Shane Bowen and today in particular?
I do have my concerns about Shane Bowen. Here's what I'll say about the defense. This is something that I think goes under discussed. I think it's like an underrated thing. What is the problem with the Titans right now? To me, I just think they don't have enough players. I think they don't have enough personnel. They're dealing with UDFAs at middle linebacker, UDFAs on the D line, UDFAs in the secondary. And by the way, the Titans used every single draft pick on offense. They did not attribute any of their draft capital to defense. They traded away one of their best defensive players. There has been this sort of disregard for addressing defense, I think, under the name of Jeffrey Simmons will fix it. Like, we have Big Jeff and we'll be okay because we've got defensive minded coaches right here. I think what they've learned over the past 5 games now is that you need players, and they don't have the defensive players like Jack Gibbons, Trey Avery, Eric Garrer. Some of these guys have been impressive for UDFAs, but they're not long-term starters or difference makers on a good NFL defense, and they've learned that the hard way. So I'm down to criticize Shane Bowen. Like we said, I think everybody gets a little sliver of the pie here and can have some shade thrown their way. But I also think you need to look at the fact how ineffective they've been in so many different areas of the defense and say, really, really glad we used one of those draft picks on, a backup offensive lineman in the 6th round and a second string tight end in the 4th round. Questionable.
Well, I mean, but you also needed those offensive players.
I don't think you needed a Josh Wiley more than you needed to add a cornerback to this defense, or more than you needed to add another playmaker in the linebacker corps.
Yeah, but again, according to Rand Carthon, he did not realize that he went all offense until somebody told him, which
problem.
Problem. Just don't say things like that. Joe says, can we please fire this coaching staff? Amy. So $2 to Amy Adams Strunk on that one right there. Ryan says, how do you go from a coach that said he would cut his junk off for a Super Bowl, but shows zero emotion on the sidelines?
I don't know. I don't know about if I have a problem with the no emotion thing.
I don't. I think you're supposed to stay even keeled on the sideline, but I do feel like this 3-13 in the last
16.
16.
In the last 16.
I do feel like that has taken a toll on Mike Vrabel, who is absolutely hates losing. But I don't think he's lost any of his fire or passion.
I really am interested in seeing how Mike Vrabel acts the rest of the way here, Austin, because last year during the losing streak, he was able to still hang his hat on the playoffs are right there. Well, we're still winning the division. Well, we're 1 game away from the playoffs. And there was never this feeling of like being out of it. And this team is going to be the first team in Mike Vrabel's coaching tenure with the Titans that is very firmly out of the playoff hunt by December. And so I'm curious to see how some of his mannerisms change, how the way he interacts with media and the fan base and his players change. We haven't seen loser Mike Vrabel yet. And, I don't know how he's going to handle that.
Yeah, for sure. Kick It to the King says another game, the defense only gives up 20. I mean, yeah, but again, like the way they gave up the 20 is just a
They were
slow
giving up
bleed.
about 6.5 yards per play for 3.5 quarters of the game. So I don't really care about the points. Yeah, it was bad.
It
They gave up a
it's
ton of explosive plays. They, couldn't get off the field. They got penalized at the worst times. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like in a vacuum, yeah, you should be able to win a game in the NFL by only allowing 20. But when the other team knows that they just need to score 17 to beat you, then they're not out there trying to zip up and down the field right there. Darren comes in here, says, I know it's cliche, but this team doesn't have an identity. They won't change. They won't change their play style even through though the personnel is painful, not equipped to run this style. This organization is lost. I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I totally agree here. And I think that is part of what the issue is right now, is that the Titans have sort of acquired personnel to run a new age offense and like kind of have a more modernized offensive approach, but their roster across the board is still kind of hung up in the past, and the approach of the head coach and of the play callers is still very much in the past. And so you end up kind of caught somewhere in the middle. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Another super chat from Joe says Vrabel inherited a great playoff team. Great, playoff team.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know if I would say great. I mean, the
yeah,
team won 9 games the year before. It's not like he
right. But
got
they did win a playoff game. And then it was all about maximizing the quarterback, which didn't happen, but that's not necessarily the Vrabel's fault. That's more on the Mariota situation as a whole. Then they got the second jolt of life of Ryan Tannehill, and here you are. I talked about Andre Dillard having 9 cat lives. Mike Vrabel is on life number 3 right now as a Titans head coach.
I'm curious to hear your take on this just in general. What do you think? Try and guess real quick. When we get PFF results tomorrow or next gen stats or whatever later in the day, how many pressures did Tampa Bay have on Will Levis?
Oh, at one
It felt
point,
like he was sacked, hit, knocked down, or hurried multiple times every series.
he had 39 attempts, sacked 4 times, and he scrambled once. So
I mean, was he pressured 20 times?
There was a stat at one point on CBS that showed 31 dropbacks, 15 pressures. It was nearly 50% at one point in the game. And I don't think it got any better at that point. All right, so let's talk about Will Levis here because we always grade the quarterback in our post-game show here presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. So I want to ask you guys, how do you grade Will Levis's performance in the Titans' loss to Tampa? How do you grade Will Levis's performance in the Titans' loss to Tampa? 20-6 was the final score. But first, let me tell you guys about Chim Chimney. For all your chimney needs, go to chim-chimneyinc.com. I'm actually having Chim Chimney come out to my new house. I mentioned a week or so ago, bought a house, but getting set to move in here around the Thanksgiving holiday, and having Chim Chimney come make sure that I have my new chimney and fireplace cleaned to perfection before we move in. So excited to have the team at Chim Chimney come out to the house. They do it the right job the first time. They're honest, dependable, and affordable. Expertise and experience is what Chim Chimney prides themselves on. They have knowledge and skills that have been honed for over decades of dedicated service. Safety first is their motto when you choose Chim Chimney. Services not only enhance chimney performance, but also ensure your home remains safe from fire hazards and carbon monoxide risks. And so check them out, chim-chimneyinc.com, chim-chimneyinc.com. So, Sam, I'll let you go to the chat.
Like the show.
Yeah, like the show. Thank you. Like the show.
Got to get that out there. We're almost to a little milestone in the likes, so you gotta get a little boost here. Everybody like the show.
Yeah, Facebook likes are approaching a milestone of 100, and YouTube likes are over 100, so that's good. So Sam, here is Will Levis's stat line: 19 of 39, so under 50% completion, 199 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, sacked 4 times, for a 53.3 quarterback rating. So I'll let you go to the chat to read the grades for Will Levis.
We have Jake Hughes coming in at a C minus, a D from Albert, D from Eric, another D, C, 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 C. C minus from Josh, a C from Gary, a C minus from Ramad, a C from Big G, C plus from T Shannon, B from Ramon, Ethan's a D, Brandon is a D, a B from Jordan, C plus from Zach. Kick it to the King comes in with an incomplete grade, C minus from Chuck, Brown, an F from Caesar, C, another D. A lot of C grades coming in, or in the C to C minus range. Devin says he had 0 time to make any reads. Nathan gives him a B. So pretty low. Brian is an F minus, is our lowest one so far. Austin, is this an incomplete for you? I wanted to go there, but I am going to throw a grade on it.
That's a cop out. You can't go incomplete. Look, this was the most difficult game that Will Levis has played in 3 games. It was also definitely his worst performance. I think C minus is a correct grade. He only threw 1 pick, but man, he could have thrown 4.
But we're like, I did have some trouble with that. Like, I saw a lot of tweets being like, oh, it's like the 3rd pass that should have been picked off from Will Levis. Most of them were just drops by his receivers.
Well, the one that Chig on the goal line where it got batted up and then Diop made a great play on it. That was not on Levis.
But I think that was the only one that I thought was on Levis.
No, there was one where Levante David dropped
NWI
one.
hit straight off his hands, was in a guy's breadbasket. He dropped it.
But it's also like you have to remember, this isn't a video game, right? So when you're playing a video game, Madden or NCAA, rest in peace, when you're playing those video games and you just hit a button and it goes to a receiver and the receiver catches it, you have to throw a catchable football. And just because it hits the receiver in his hands, but his hands are way up over his head, fully stretched out, doesn't mean it's a catchable football.
I don't know how many times did that actually happen, though.
The NWI, I'm not saying a lot of them, but the NWI one, I don't think was a super catchable football in that spot.
Really?
It was hot.
I disagree there.
It was way too hot. It was high, and NWI was in the middle of the field. Like, that is a hospital ball for somebody going up and and you have to be able to bring it down. Like, even Matt Ryan on the broadcast mentioned, like, if you're throwing over the middle to a guy, you don't miss high, because 1, tip interceptions happen, and 2, you're just opening up the rib cage and all your internal organs for your receiver to get smashed. And so I don't think that one in particular was a catchable football, the one to NWI, but there were some other ones that were not good decisions.
I disagree with that, but I think not really a battle worth fighting here.
Sure.
I think you're actually dead on in the grade. I think it's a C minus for him. I can't give him a C or better. It wasn't good. It wasn't good on the offense. A lot of those even yards came late in the game when Tampa was running a little bit more of a relaxed coverages and getting a little softer. I thought he was very good in the first half at kind of handling a lot of the pressure. Things started to unravel a little bit in the second half, and he did make some decisions that were questionable at times. The reason it's not lower, obviously the pressure, I think the play calling for another one, as just things that had the deck stacked against him. Will Levis went into a class that had a bad teacher who had it out for him, who didn't give him a study guide, who didn't grade on a curve and gave them a time limit. He had everything kind of going against him, and he snuck out of there with barely a passing grade, with like a C minus. And it's not going to look pretty on the report card, but after watching that could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse. Tone Titans comes in and says, told y'all dummies, Tanny was not the problem, including y'all too. Look, I never thought Ryan Tannehill was the biggest problem.
Anywhere near the problem in New Orleans. I mean, but Ryan
Tannehill had PTSD after last year, and it just wasn't clicking. I do think his processes slowed down a little bit. But he was not anywhere near the number one problem the Titans have had this season or last season at quarterback. It was a lot of things around him, and you thought and hoped that Will Levis' youth, his athletic ability and explosiveness could be a way to work around the tons of issues that the Titans have surrounding the quarterback. And I said this at halftime, Sam, like I think there was nobody around Will Levis that was truly doing a good job of helping him do his job today outside of DeAndre Hopkins and Kyle Phillips. It's the second game in a row, Kyle Phillips has led this team in
Well,
receiving
and
yards.
neither one of those guys were really around at all in the first half. I mean, like he was on an island, and Will Levis was on an island in that first half. He got some help from D Hop and Phillips down the stretch there. But I mean, there were how many times was there a play as well where it was like deep ball to NWI, barely out of his reach, or like grazed his fingertips, and he could have laid out. He could have maybe caught it. You could have been an inch closer to him. There's the screen pass to Derrick Henry that you've got literally a touchdown, and you let a guy tackle you from behind you with one hand grabbing your heel, and his knee just hits the ground. It like things like that where you're just like, somebody needs to do something here. Even we had a second and 14 or whatever, a 13-yard pass to Chig, hits him right in the stomach, falls to the ground, and it ends up, being critical yards you needed to extend a drive. Somebody was always coming through to mess up a drive, and it really felt like Will Levis was on his own for the beginning of this game, and then as it went on, he started to make some worse decisions and perform worse.
All right, so Derrick Henry, probably one of his least effective games in his Titans career in a long time. 11 carries for 24 yards. He had one catch for -4. So 20 total yards from Derrick Henry on 12 touches. That's as bad as it can possibly get. And I do think on the screen, I think this is something that the Titans are being caught up with. They have a couple things they do that they like to do that works, that now teams expect. It is the Derrick Henry screen that now Devin White, Levante David, pick one of them, or whoever the best linebacker is in the opponent is going to follow Derrick Henry because they do that a few times a game. It is no longer going to be effective because Peter Skoronski was a half a foot away from getting that block and Derrick Henry might have scored. But the reason, and that's like and here's the problem here's what I expect from the Titans coaches on that play explanation. I mean, we were right there.
I'm sure we're going to hear a couple. We were right there.
They're probably, I expect them to say, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I expect them to say that play was so close to being a touchdown. But the reason why it wasn't, and it was a 4-yard loss, is because you do it so often that the linebacker knew exactly where to be and made the play.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that Peter was so close to executing with perfection. No, they knew what was coming and they jumped it before your guy could get there. That is coaching tendencies. It's the same reason why Derrick Henry had 5 carries that got tackled for a loss today, because of coaching tendencies. Not Derrick Henry, because Henry had no chance to do anything on those 5 carries.
Some of them, man, I cannot get over. You're just as frustrated by it as me, but that 2nd and goal run, I knew from as soon as that incompletion happened, I'm like, they're about to absolutely pound the brakes and take 3 points here. And then sure enough, run the ball. Derrick Henry's dropped for a 2-yard loss. And it just absolutely miserable how you I don't know if there's ever an excuse to run the ball from the 9-yard line on 2nd and goal. I
think it was just the 6. I think it was the 6 or the
no, I think it was the 9, but
no, it was the first play, the first drive of the game, it was 1st and goal from the 9. And that's when they ran the toss and Henry lost 2 yards. And then they ended up kicking the field goal. The second one, it was 1st and goal at the 5 or 6. The Chig tip almost picked that D-Hop made the play on. Then they ran and lost 2 yards or so and got back to 3rd and whatever.
Yeah, and it's what Zoe says here. It's like they had a stacked box, like they're looking right at it. The Bucs are bringing everybody, filling a gap because they're either going to blitz or just try and stuff a run gap. And you're just like, we almost threw a pick. Let's hand off to Derrick and just keep the ball, keep possession. It was ridiculous. My gosh.
It's the coaching scared thing that you mentioned earlier. Zoe comes back here. We got a little sticker and a super chat. Mike Vrabel inherited a team that was above average. He's not the coach to rebuild a team, and it shows. So I think that's an interesting point, because the NFL is a revolving door. Like, you don't have eras that typically last longer than 5 years. And here we are in Vrabel's 6th year, and there is a new era. And I think that's a big question that Amy Adams Strunk and her leadership around her have to ask themselves. Is Mike Vrabel the right person for the next era of Titans football?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to answer that question right now, but
big question. And I it's not something that I want to take lightly. make statements about emotional after a loss.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a Titans fan, but you do like get frustrated when you watch the same thing over and over again. And I do, because I cover the team. Hey, newsflash, Titans fans, anybody out there that is a Titans reporter or media person who says that they don't care if the Titans win or lose is lying. They're trying to look cool. They're lying to your face. Everybody cares if the Titans win or lose, because it's more fun to cover a football team that wins games versus a football team that loses games. It's better for our job. It's better for the company. It's more fun. It makes the day-to-day life better. The players are happier. We do care. We want the team to win. That doesn't mean we have a rooting interest and like a fan's rooting interest.
Yeah.
But
it's a different thing.
But like, you're lying if you say that you don't care if they win or lose. And so it is frustrating.
And it's real quick, because a lot of people like Zach and Zoe and Major Keys are all bringing up how Buck says that. No, Buck is not emotionally distraught for a week after the Titans lose like a lot of fans are. But
right, I mean, there's a difference. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and have some sort of like, hey, you're a football fan, your team loses, like. And I knew this, like, when I was really into like the Bears and I was really into my Bears football, like they lose, it's a week ruiner. Like, you think of the Bears game and you're pissed off.
I'm still pissed at Tennessee Vols yesterday.
And you're gonna be pissed probably for the rest of the year when you see that third loss on Tennessee's record. It's gonna drive you nuts.
It's about to be a fourth, but yeah.
And that's a fan reaction. So yeah, media people don't have that same sort of like switch that like triggers where you're like actually emotionally upset and angry about something. But it is very annoying when you make your livelihood off of covering a team and you would like the team to be relevant and worth talking about and fun. And, that's where we're at. So
yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get to here live on our Titan Postgame show presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Let's kind of revisit the X factors, because I do think something stood out immediately from something that we kind of mentioned in passing in the pregame show. But first, I want to tell you guys about X Golf Nashville. They are the new home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee, and X Golf Nashville has Monday Night Football leagues where you can go watch Monday Night Football on some of their 10 TVs there at X Golf Nashville in Nashville. And you can check out all of their Monday Night Football leagues where you can play and compete for prizes and bragging rights during Monday nights moving forward this fall and winter. Also, if you're looking for those holiday parties for your corporate or business events, X Golf is the perfect place to host that event. Contact X Golf Nashville for packages and details availability on that. xgolfnashville.com. Sam, in passing, you mentioned Trey Avery.
Yeah.
Was your X factor, right? I didn't really notice Trey Avery getting smoked that much.
Correct. I mean, I didn't particularly notice it either, but I think the point of the Mike Evans deal, I mean, that was my main concern with Trey Avery, is what does it look like against Mike Evans? And that proved to be problematic. He ended up finishing the day, if I can pull up his stats here, with 6 catches for 143 yards and a touchdown. It should be like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was wide open and dropped one. Honestly had another drop. So out of the 10 targets that went Mike Evans' way, 6 of them were caught for 143 yards. 2 of them he was wide open and he dropped the ball on. You didn't control the big explosive pass. And so I had a little bit of a fun time this afternoon trolling the Titans defensive coaching staff by I tweeted out something along the lines of, well, if you take away the 47-yard pass to Mike Evans, the 40-yard pass to Mike Evans, and the 24-yard pass to Mike Evans, the Titans have been just fine when it comes to containing Mike Evans today, because that seems to be what the vibe is about this. It's like, well, there's those 8 really explosive plays. If we take those out, the defense is good. So I had fun trolling about that this afternoon.
Yeah, and then I did mention in passing that Rachaad White out of the backfield could be something to watch. And what do you know? Monty Rice got completely lost on that screen touchdown. Rachaad White going 43 yards down the sideline, and nobody could get him because Monty Rice, who at that point was in for Jack Gibbons, was nowhere near the right spot on the field and had some hesitation there. and White was gone down that sideline. So let's go ahead and wrap up this post-game show. But before we do that, there is a massive, massive missed opportunity the Titans had in today's game, and that's going to be really showcased when we take our look around the AFC South, presented by our great friends at Jarrett Fire. Jarrett Fire is where you should turn to protect your facility all in one place. That is Jarrett Fire at jarrettcompanies.com. One inspection at a time. Jarrett Fire can take care of you. If you need sprinklers, alarm systems, extinguishers for your business or for your residential, they've got it. Inspections and maintenance for your fire protection and safety solutions are right there as well. Over 75 years of experience with Jarrett Fire. The technicians are certified and trained to the highest standards, locally owned and operated, not corporate. So you can get rid of those corporate prices right there and go to jarrettcompanies.com to learn more about Jarrett Fire Protection, jarrettcompanies.com. So I tweeted this, Sam, early third quarter, I think, right after Mike Evans dropped that easiest touchdown of his life. I watched that happen, and I look, and George Kittle runs 60 yards down the field to make it 20-3 Niners over the Jags. And I'm saying the football gods are begging the Titans to do something, right? Because we all talked about this. The best case scenario for today is that the Niners get right against the Jags. The Titans beat a beatable Bucs team to get to 4-5, to go to the 6-3 Jags next week with a chance for 5-5 to 6-4.
With a tiebreaker.
The Titans with a tiebreaker in hand. And the Titans couldn't get it done. And now you look around the rest of the AFC South, and the Texans and the Colts are finding ways to win. And CJ Stroud is looking like a beast that you're going to have a problem with over the next decade. And the Tennessee Titans can't score a touchdown. It's brutal to look. It's brutal to look around the AFC South and to point out the missed opportunities in how the Texans are playing and how the Jags laid an egg today, and to say, well, Titans, you had a chance, but this coaching staff and this team is completely lost.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns for CJ Stroud. You didn't score. That was last week against the same defense. You didn't score a single one by yourself. And I think we're going to have to change the segment outlook for Jarrett Fire here, Austin, because I don't think it's worth looking at the AFC South anymore. That's a race for the Texans and the Colts to figure out, who are both now one back in the win column. We need to get the tankathon.com up and start looking at the Titans draft position. That's the more realistic race to watch right now, is where are they drafting this April, because 3-6 feels like, the 3 full games back in the AFC South with the way this team looks. Yeah, it feels insurmountable. So, you know, how far do they spiral is the question.
Yep. So the Houston Texans win. They are 5-4 now. The Colts are 5-5. Texans, I mentioned 5-4. Jags 6-3, and the Titans at 3-6. Just losing ground by the week, losing their 4th out of 5 games. Excuse me. The Tennessee Titans sitting at 2-2, dismantling the Bengals, and now are 3-6.
Can't believe that. Wow.
Yep. Pretty brutal overall. Yeah, so maybe we'll have to turn our Jarrett Fire protection segment into a top 5 draft pick look each week, which is going to be a more complicated mathematical equation that we're going to have to do on the fly here in the post-game show.
Yeah.
But Sam, we've got a lot of stuff coming up this week. Any parting thoughts and shots before we head out of here? We've had a hell of a post-game show. We knew it would happen, but the Titans are a disaster right now, and so there's no shortage of opinions.
Yeah, I burned myself out a little bit talking about it, but I'm going to get fired up and type some few choice words out later this evening. So keep an eye out for that on A2Zsports.com. Titans at 2 tomorrow for me, reacting to what should be a very, very interesting Mike Vrabel press conference over at St. Thomas Sports Park. So I know there's a lot of radical reactions out there. I certainly have a lot of thoughts about the state of the organization. So going to enjoy the next few days of a lot of content and a lot of opinion about where the Titans go from here.
No doubt about that. Do want to thank all of our great partners for Titan Game Day Live for making this happen. Adventure Science Center, Jarrett Fire, Chim Chimney, BetMGM, the Mint Gaming Hall, the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, and X Golf Nashville. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday the best you can. Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime, right there during Sunday Night Football. And then me and Zach will be live Monday morning as well. So we'll catch you guys then and see you then. Appreciate it as always.